Your ADHD brain isn't broken at problem solving, it's wired differently. It's actually wired to do something most neurotypical brains struggle with, and nobody bothered to tell you about this. Ever wonder why the same brain that derails your grocery trip can solve a work crisis in 20 minutes that stumped everyone else for a week? Today I'll explain ADHD problem solving like you're 5 years old. By the end, you'll understand what your brain's doing differently, why it works, and how to stop apologizing for the way you think. Here's the thing about problem solving that you need to know. Problem solving isn't one skill, it's actually several. There's analytical problem solving, the step-by-step, logical, follow-the-manual kind. That's what school tested for back in the day. That's what most jobs say they want from you. And yeah, if you have ADHD, that flavor probably makes you want to claw your eyes out. But there's another kind called divergent problem solving. That's when you need to connect random dots nobody else saw. You think sideways instead of forward, in unexpected ways. You find 17 possible solutions instead of the one correct answer. And that's where your ADHD brain doesn't just keep up, it leaves everyone else in the dust. Let me show you why this happens in your brain. Your brain has lower dopamine than a neurotypical brain. Dopamine isn't a reward chemical. It's more like your brain's interest detector. It tells you what's worth paying attention to right now. When dopamine's low, your brain gets really picky. Boring stuff gets ghosted completely by your brain. But interesting stuff, problems that are new, urgent, or weird enough, your brain locks in like a laser on those interesting problems. Neurotypical brains can force attention even when something's boring. Yours can't do that at all. But here's what nobody mentions about this difference. When you're solving a problem that actually matters, one with stakes, novelty, or enough chaos to feel interesting, your brain doesn't just focus. It hyperfocuses on the problem. You pull in information from 6 different directions at once. You see connections other people miss because their brains are too busy following the proper steps. Think of it like this comparison. Everyone else's brain is a flashlight with a steady beam. Steady beam. Lights up one spot really well. Your brain's a disco ball. It's spinning, bouncing light everywhere, hitting corners nobody even thought to look at. In a boring meeting? Terrible. Absolutely useless. But in a crisis, when the problem's weird and nobody knows the answer yet, your disco ball brain is suddenly lighting up the entire room. And here's where it gets better for you. ADHD brains are better at something called cognitive flexibility. That's a fancy term for changing how you think about something when your first idea doesn't work. Most brains get stuck. They pick a strategy and commit. Even when it's clearly failing, they keep trying the same thing harder. Your brain doesn't do that. Your brain gets bored with the failing strategy in 30 seconds and tries something completely different. Then another thing. Then another. You're not quitting, you're iterating. Most people see 15 discarded ideas and think you're scattered. What you're actually doing is rapidly testing possibilities until something clicks. Here's a real example from research. There's a classic problem-solving test called the Remote Associates Test. You get 3 words, like cottage, Swiss, and cake, and you have to find one word that connects all 3. The answer is cheese. Cottage cheese, Swiss cheese, cheesecake. Studies found that people with ADHD score higher on these tests than neurotypical people. Not because you're smarter, because your brain doesn't get stuck on the obvious answer. You're already 3 weird associations deep while everyone else is still trying to make cottage cake make sense. But wait, there's something else happening in your brain. ADHD brains don't just jump between ideas randomly. You're pulling from a wider net of information. Neurotypical brains filter hard. They decide what's relevant and ignore the rest. Your brain doesn't filter as much. Everything gets tossed into the mix. That scene from a movie you watched 5 years ago? A random fact you read on Reddit at 2 a.m. The weird thing your coworker said last Tuesday. It all stays available. Most of the time, that feels like clutter. Your brain's a junk drawer that won't close. But when you're solving a problem, that junk drawer's full of tools nobody else thought to bring. You connect things that seem unrelated because your brain never decided they were unrelated in the first place. This is why you've probably solved problems in ways that made other people blink twice. You'll reference something completely random, and somehow it's the perfect solution. They think you're pulling ideas out of thin air. You're not. You're pulling from that massive, unfiltered database your brain's been building your whole life. While their brains deleted the irrelevant stuff, yours kept everything just in case. Turns out, in problem solving, just in case is exactly when you need it. Now here's the catch about your brain. Your brain's problem-solving superpowers don't work on every problem. They work on interesting problems, novel problems, problems with urgency or stakes or enough weird pieces that your brain goes, ooh, okay, this could be fun. Routine problems, problems that are boring but necessary. Your brain treats those like a Netflix notification you swipe away without reading. Neurotypical brains can push through boring problems with discipline and willpower. Your brain laughs at willpower and wants something interesting. It wants dopamine. And if the problem isn't giving it, your brain's moving on. This is why you can spend 6 hours fixing a broken website for fun, but can't spend 6 minutes filing your taxes. Same brain, different dopamine response. So how do you actually use this knowledge? First, stop trying to fix your brain like it's broken. You don't need to become someone who's great at boring, step-by-step problems. You need to set up your life so you're solving the kind of problems your brain's already good at. That might mean finding work with variety and urgency instead of repetitive tasks. It might mean being the person who gets called when something breaks and nobody knows why. It might mean building systems that handle the boring stuff automatically, so your brain can do what it does best. Jump in when things get interesting. Second, give yourself problems that are actually hard enough to engage you. Your brain doesn't wake up for easy tasks. It wakes up for, I don't know if this is possible, but let's find out. If you're bored, you're not going to suddenly develop neurotypical focus. You're going to scroll your phone and feel bad about it. But if the problem's legitimately challenging, your brain will chew on it for hours without you even noticing. And third, stop apologizing for the 15 ideas you tried before one worked. What you're actually doing is rapidly prototyping solutions in real time. You're running tests they're still planning in their heads. They'll spend an hour mapping out the right approach. You'll try 5 approaches in 20 minutes, toss 4, and keep the one that works. You're not messier, you're faster. You're just showing your work in a way that makes people uncomfortable because it doesn't look like the tidy process they were taught in school. One more thing about how your brain operates. Your brain's problem-solving works even better when you're not trying to control it. You know that thing where you're stuck on a problem, you walk away to do something completely different, and suddenly the answer pops into your head in the shower? That's called incubation. Your subconscious keeps working even when you're not paying attention. ADHD brains are really good at this because you're always half thinking about 6 things at once anyway. Neurotypical people have to intentionally let their mind wander. Your mind's already wandering. It's your default state. So when you step away from a tough problem, your brain doesn't stop. It keeps shuffling pieces in the background. That's why your best ideas come when you're doing dishes, or walking the dog, or lying in bed at 3 a.m. Your conscious brain stopped micromanaging, and your subconscious finally had room to work. You can actually use this on purpose to your advantage. When you hit a wall on a problem, don't force it. Go do something mindless. Take a walk. Play a simple game. Your brain will keep working the problem while you're distracted. You're not procrastinating. You're letting your natural cognitive style do what it does best. To recap what we've covered here, your ADHD brain trades step-by-step focus for divergent problem-solving superpowers. You hyper-focus on interesting problems, switch strategies fast, and connect random dots others miss. You're not bad at thinking. You're bad at boring problems. The solution isn't fixing your brain. It's finding problems that actually trip your interest detector. So here's the real question to think about. If your ADHD brain's better at solving the hardest, weirdest, most valuable problems, the kind that actually move things forward, why are we still designing schools and jobs that only reward people who can sit still and follow instructions?